Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Awesome,
Okay.
awesome.
Let's see if. Let me just make sure. I'm just gonna wait for stream to say they can hear you because sometimes it's
Okay,
weird.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, John, are you selling stringer takes? Not right now.
Yeah, is everything good?
Yeah, dude, I'm doing good, man. I was just jamming to some '80s music.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I was watching that. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
All right, cool. So they can hear you. So I'm just gonna hit record
awesome.
on this. You don't want video? I'm assuming, right?
Uh, I can if you want. I can turn on my camera if you want me to. I don't mind.
It's all your choice, dude.
Let me see how it looks. Hold on.
For sure.
Oh, now my camera's not working. I don't know what the problem is there.
It's okay. We
Sorry
can
about
we
that.
can just we can just talk, dude. No big deal.
Okay, yeah, cool, cool. Yeah.
Um. All right, man. So you obviously made the response video to me. I kind of want to give a little bit of background for people that might not know exactly, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, sure.
Gymshark posted a picture it's been like a week ago now, where they showed a lady, a girl that was not necessarily super shredded and stuff, right? And then there was a lot of backlash behind that,
Mm.
and then I made a video about it, and then you made a response, and then we kind of started talking in the DMs. You're like, I would love to talk and kind of you said you wanted to like share your opinions a little bit more. So I was like, cool, let's do it. And you were like, yeah, I'd like to do it on stream. And I was like, that's awesome. So that's what we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
now.
Yeah, so I mainly had a contention with one of your characterizations of me. I had a contention with a few other things, but some stuff has developed actually on the Gymshark page, which makes a lot of my points redundant now because of what they've done. So I'm gonna probably step back on a few things. But the first thing was really how you spoke about you thought that I would be the kind of guy if there was like a larger person in the gym to say like, oh, why is this person in the gym and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't really like take on that characterization anyway. Like I've devoted a lot of my time to making people who may be like larger, who may be less physically fit, trying to help them to be more physically fit. That's why I want to go into the profession of personal training and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say like if there was a big person in the gym, I wouldn't like tell them to leave the gym or anything. That's where they're meant to be, right? That's my
Yeah.
whole that would be my ideology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like one of the mischaracterizations which I just want to clear up real quick.
Yeah. I mean, so when I'm doing like the reactions and stuff, I was trying not to necessarily attack you as a person, more
Mm,
the ideas, right? So what I was trying to say was a lot of the people that share your same beliefs and speak in the way that you're saying, and like work, especially the people that were leaving the comments on Gymshark's post, right?
mm. Yeah.
They would be the same people that would be like, this person blah 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 doesn't belong in the gym because they're big, kind of thing. Again, obviously I can't
Mm,
say that everyone that would say that has those beliefs, but it was more just like, this is what you see when people are, you'll see some people will be like, oh my gosh, like people need to work out, people need to lose weight, like this is like a serious thing. But then they'll also go and make fun of, the woman or the dude that is in the gym that is overweight, that is sweating their butt off on the elliptical or something like that.
mm. Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. That for me personally, I just want to clear up that that's not a point that I personally hold. That's not something which I would defend in any way. If there's somebody at the gym and they're bigger, it doesn't really matter to me. It's like just get your work done in the gym, and then I have
So
no problem with that.
how do you feel about when people will like they'll film like a bigger person and kind of make fun of them? Because I had a friend of mine, Nancy, who had a
Hmm.
dude that like filmed her when she was working out and was like making fun of her. How would that make you feel?
Oh, that's disgusting, in my opinion.
Okay.
First of all, filming someone without their consent is already a big problem. Second
Mm-hmm.
of all, insulting that person is a big problem. And then third of all, you're insulting that person because of their weight at the gym. It doesn't make too much sense to me. It's like insulting, I don't know, like a cancer patient when they're at the hospital. It's like they're there to effectively get the treatment to not be in that state anymore. You get what I mean? It
Yeah.
doesn't make yeah.
So okay. So then going to like Gymshark, let's talk about the actual post.
Mhm.
You had a pretty big issue with the woman being on the page, and I'm kind of curious as to because what I think is interesting is I think that there is a difference between like a sponsored athlete and then just a post on a page, because I don't believe that she is like a sponsored athlete by Gymshark. And so I feel like a lot of the you were making like a lot of false equivalencies, I feel like, because you were like, what was so strange to me, and I'm sure you saw the video, was you would compare being a Gymshark athlete, or even her, right? She was just posted on, so just being posted on Gymshark's Instagram page, the same as being in the Olympics or winning an Olympic gold medal. And I'm just curious, like, why do you think that you see those so similarly?
So generally, the sort of dichotomy which I was trying to draw here was the point that Gymshark, how they portray themselves, seems to be very much how this has changed now in some recent posts which they put out, but it seemed to be at the time where they only showed like the best of the best physiques. Apart from every now and again, the more I look back, the more I find some examples of this. But it seems to be that they would only show like the best of the best physiques, and
Mm-hmm.
then for them to not show one of these amazing physiques, it just kind of seemed weird to me. That was my main point.
Well, I mean, okay, that's fine. It's fine if it seems weird, but
Mhm.
the video you made, it didn't. That wasn't what you were saying. Like, it wasn't. You weren't just saying, it seems weird. You were like, it seemed like you were genuinely upset about it. And so that's what I'm trying to understand. Now, I've said this before, and I want to kind of like give you an olive branch or whatever, because I do
Mhm.
believe there is genuine criticism to be levied against Gymshark. I do. Now, what is that criticism? I'm sure you can kind of guess what I'm going to say. But they have built their brand on posting mostly super jacked dudes, super
Yeah.
jacked women, super fit people, right? That's kind of what they've built their brand up. And there's a lot of people that are fans of their brand that look up to those people, and they have turned it into some, I was joking around in my video, but they've turned it into some ethereal, like, holy like trinity of like Gymshark, when in
Yeah.
reality, I mean, it really is just a clothing brand, you know?
Mm.
And so I can understand being like, man, Gymshark themselves have, if you want to use the whole like unfair beauty standards, unrealistic beauty standards, they themselves have put themselves in that, right? You could say they're a big proponent of that for men and women, right? I would
Yeah.
say that you can't argue that, and I wouldn't argue that they haven't done that. But
Mm.
it seems, as from the posts I've seen, and I think you saw it today, right? They posted they posted a bunch of people that were,
Mm.
you wouldn't consider regular people on Gymshark, right? There's a bigger
Yeah.
guy, bigger woman, some skinnier people, whatever. And so it seems as though they really are trying to step back from that. And so for me, it's like, I can understand the argument that Gymshark has helped create these unrealistic beauty standards, but it does seem that they are trying to maybe mitigate that, and it doesn't seem like it was a one-off post. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying, especially from like the post today. The guy was I looked a bit into the man's account. The
Yeah, he's like a model.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a male model. So I scroll down. His first post is a Gymshark post. So I start reading this post. It says, "Another goal accomplished. Thank you, Gymshark, for allowing me to become your first big and tall male model."
Mm-hmm.
And this was posted back in August in 2019. So it seems that Gymshark has been doing this for a while. I don't know whether they've been doing it uh more like I don't know how to say it. Not like posting it on their Instagram, or they've just been doing it like behind the scenes or what. But it seems like they've been trying to do this for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think that's fine if that's what they want to try and move into. However, if you want to try and move into this thing, I could also understand backlash. There will always be backlash generally. Whenever like you've built your brand off this thing and now you want to diversify, or you just want to completely change and move into this new branding for yourself, I think it's fine to do that, but I also understand the backlash. And my video is kind of trying to flesh out some of those comments, which were like very rudimentary, I guess you could say. It and try to understand where these people are actually coming from. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, um, the other thing that I thought was interesting was I'm kind of I would like to understand like why is it that you feel that Gymshark is some huge like accomplishment? Like why is that to you? Because I struggle to really understand like feeling like I guess maybe because I've been in this scene for a long time. I was around when Gymshark first started, and I've always seen them as like they're a big clothing company, and it's not like I'm sitting here trying to say that they they're garbage or whatever, but it is just a clothing company, and so I'm why do you feel that it is this huge accomplishment to be sponsored by Gymshark?
Um, so let's just begin with just like being featured on the page, and then we'll like go into being sponsored or whatever it may be. So Gymshark right now has 4.7 million followers. If you were to be, let's say, a smaller, not really smaller, let's say you had like 10K followers or whatever it may be like that,
Mm-hmm.
that could greatly increase how many followers you have at the time. That increase of followers may open up more business opportunities for you to move into, allowing you to potentially make more money in the field and actually get situated in the field of fitness. If we were to go into actually being sponsored by them, I mean, when you're sponsored by Gymshark and you become a Gymshark athlete, this is like a job for these people. And I don't know like how well paying the job is at all, but I would assume the status which it brings you among other clothing companies is is enough to warrant it as being impressive, along with the money which you actually get from the job, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously I've been sponsored by companies, and a lot of times there's different levels. Sometimes the company will pay you a monthly fee, and then they'll
Mm.
also you'll get percentages because everyone has codes and stuff like that, so you get percentage of those. Sometimes you just get free product, and then you also get percentages of all the the codes that people use. And I'm sure with Gymshark, it's probably a pretty high amount because Gymshark has literally always been about their athletes' codes, right? It's like since the
Mm.
beginning of Gymshark, they were one of the first companies, at least fitness wise, that did that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So I a lot of what you said, and I obviously a big thing that I had a problem with your video was you were saying that Gymshark was devalued because of that post, and I would love
Mhm.
to hear a little bit more like why you thought that. Do you still think that? Your reasoning behind that.
Well, I think hmm, it's hard to say a devaluation. I don't really think maybe like a revaluation, maybe a better word, since they've seemed to push for this more. Would probably be the word which I use now. They seem to push more for like a body positive sort of aesthetic to their page, which I think is fine. So the devaluation point was pretty much to say that showing so they showed all these like amazing impressive physiques for the most part. Um, on their page, and then they were to move into these less impressive physiques, so to say. So I would say for people who are used to having all these impressive physiques on their page, I would say for those people, the page may be devalued if they like looking at those impressive pictures, right?
Hmm. I mean, I guess that obviously that's going to be really subjective. So that one's kind of hard, I guess, like because you're using a lot of like to that person, to this person. Obviously, I can't speak for every person, but I would say in general, I think including more people is only a good thing, right? And it's not like and I even said in my video like it's not like they're showing they showed some like really large person that was eating a bag of chips that was wearing Gymshark. Like it
Mm-hmm.
seems like these people are still getting their or still moving their bodies, right? Their Gymshark is still very much so an athletic, I guess you could say athleisure now brand. Would you
Mm-hmm.
agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so I'm just kind of curious because it seems like because I know that you've said that you've kind of switched what you believe, so I don't want to keep bringing things up and then you kind of I don't want to say backtrack, but you kind of switch what you said in the video. So I guess a better
Um,
way to go about this would be what has changed since the video you made, just so I'm not bringing things up and then it's like you're like, well, no, actually, I think this now.
yeah. For the people who like are saying I'm backtracking, I mean, true to an extent, I am backtracking. There were ideas which I held in that video which I don't necessarily hold anymore.
Which
Doing
which
more research.
which ones are those? Just so we're clear.
Um, Yeah, so I feel like the whole devaluation point like we talked about before isn't necessarily true.
Okay.
It seems as if they've changed their brand quite a bit now, which is fine. The point about the women's body positivity, body empowerment movement solely being featured on their page obviously isn't true anymore, since they featured a man on there, which in my opinion is quite a big deal. I think that's quite cool. Um, those are the two major ones. There may be other things which I may have changed, but those were two major ones.
And so what would you say, cuz I'm just trying to get to where we disagree so we can actually have a conversation about that, right? Because I think that'll be more informative than us just kind of agreeing on things, because all of those things that you said obviously I agree with, right? Like that's
Mhm.
and I agree. And one thing I think it's great that you can own that you backtracking, or I don't even want to call it that because that means it's a negative thing, but you've changed your opinions, which I think is a
Yeah.
good thing. For anyone in
Mhm.
any capacity, like you should be able to change your opinions. Like that's a
Mhm.
totally fine thing, and I'm not trying to make you to be like got you. That's not what this is about. I'm trying to
Yeah. Yeah.
understand where we disagree so we can have a conversation about that. And so
Yeah.
I guess I guess a better way to go about this is, where do you believe we disagree so we can have that conversation?
I think we disagree intrinsically on like how meaningful or meaningless being posted on Gymshark or being a Gymshark athlete actually is. I feel like that's mainly where we disagree.
Okay.
I personally think being posted on Gymshark, being a Gymshark athlete is an extremely impressive thing. Also something which you said it was not a good goal to strive for
Oh,
to
yes,
become a
yes, yes.
Gymshark
Yeah,
athlete.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Good, good,
probably
good.
something else with you. Yeah.
Okay, that's I'm okay. I'm glad you brought that one up. That's a good one. There,
Mm.
I mean, those videos were freaking long, right? So
Yeah.
I
I
forgot.
mean, true.
Probably should have watched it before this, but that was one that I think that we definitely do disagree on, and
Mm.
I think it might come down to literal just like how we worded things, which I hope it's not just that, because that's kind of boring,
Mm.
but so I know that you said like people will train, and then so I took that literally, right? You said people train their whole lives to be Gymshark
Mm.
athletes, which one, I think that's a little false because Gymshark hasn't been around that long. So I doubt
Yeah,
that
yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
many people that are training their entire lives to be Gymshark athletes. But for me,
Mm.
I guess being in this space and like being an influencer of the size that could be sponsored by Gymshark, right? Not saying I
Mm.
want to, but like that is an option for me, I'm sure, if I really, really wanted to make it happen. Um,
Yeah.
but I personally have no real need to be sponsored by Gymshark or any other real clothing company. And so I guess maybe that to me is why it makes it so strange that some people like really do make that a goal of theirs. Because for
Mm.
me, when it comes to fitness and when it comes to like the content that I make, the stuff that I put out there, it really is, the first thing is about helping people and informing people, right? That's the
Mm.
first thing. And so for me, I think it's strange if someone gets into posting on social media, trying to improve their physique and stuff like that. And one of the main hopes they have is to be sponsored by Gymshark. I just think
Mm.
that is a very weak thing to set up, a thing that you're literally, like you were saying, training your whole life for, or however many years, 7 years, 8 years, like of putting time in the gym, hours and hours and hours. Um, and so do you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. So generally, I guess I would just fundamentally disagree. I think if you're putting in hours and hours into the gym for the end result, for you to hopefully become like a gym suck athlete or an athlete for any clothing brand, whatever it may be, I don't necessarily think that that's a sad or weird goal, because at the end of the day, that goal could very well like be a job or be the precursor to you getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
It could very well be like a good source of income for you. It may very well it may to you just seem cool. I think I see it as lot as like somebody maybe like running for a marathon or something like that. I see it sort of similar to that, where you're working out and training for this goal, which at like surface value may seem sort of like vacuous and sort of meaningless, but it's a bit deeper than that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this is where I think we disagree. So I
Okay.
understand what you mean, but I
Mm.
think with Gymshark sponsorships and any sort of sponsorship, if that is out of your control, you can't do a single thing about that. You could literally be super popular and be at the top of your game, have an insane physique, and Gymshark could still be like, I don't want to sponsor you. We don't want to sponsor you, right? But I'm glad that you brought up the marathon thing, because if you train for a marathon, that's up to you. If you run the marathon, you ran the marathon. There's no one that can tell you not to run the marathon, right? Unless something crazy happens. But like, and then on top of that, if you are training to run a marathon, who knows? And you're really talented, maybe Brooks will decide to sponsor you. Maybe Nike will decide to sponsor you, right? So that's where we disagree, because I think a sponsorship is an added benefit to the work that you've put in for something. Instead of the sponsor is the entire reason. Do you get what I like? How that is a different? I feel like that's such a different way of looking at it. Like if you want to improve your physique because you want to win the Olympia, and I know that's a little bit different because it is subjective instead of a marathon, which it's like whoever finishes first wins, right? But like if you train to win the Olympia or win physique, what XYZ thing, and you do that and you win, that's great. But if you decide to do that and then in response to that, you gain followers, you end up, you have a really fantastic physique, and then Gymshark notices that, or whatever. I know we keep using Gymshark because that's what we've been talking about, but any other clothing company notices that, and then they decide to be like, hey, we would love to sponsor you. I just think that is a much better way to go about it, because you are not relying on outside sources to validate you, right? Instead, you are relying on what you can control, right? We go back to the marathon. You can control your training. You can control how much work you're putting in versus, I hope this company likes me. Do you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah. I understand that. Here's an interesting idea, right? So if you go onto Gymshark's page and you look at all of the athletes, you'll see I don't think any of them, if there is any, maybe like one or two, have actually trained their whole lives, metaphorically speaking, for like as long as Gymshark's been out to become a Gymshark athlete. It's actually an extremely rare thing if it happens at all. So
yeah,
so
exactly,
from that,
exactly.
Yeah. So from that, if you actually wanted to be a Gymshark athlete, you would have to know that in order to be a Gymshark athlete, your main goal shouldn't be to be a Gymshark athlete. Your main goal should be to like provide content for your audience, to do this, to do that, and then with that,
provide value. I would say even more than just content, right?
Yeah, provide value. And then with that, but becoming sponsored by Gymshark, that may come along down the road, I guess you could say. But I still think inherently, if one of your main goals is to be sponsored by Gymshark, I think that is an okay goal to have. And then when we look into the subjectivity of it, right? The fact that you're being like judged by somebody who doesn't necessarily like have the same objective standards which you may have from being posted on the Gymshark page. When it comes to that's kind of the whole idea which I was making in my original video, when I was talking about the need for Gymshark to become more meritocratic, to make it so that if you have a good enough physique and this certain amount of followers, then you should. Well, it's not that you should. It's more that it'll be like cool. It'll be really good if you were to be like posted on their page. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not valuable to be posted on their page. Of course it is, right? They have millions of followers. Of course, right? If they posted me, I'm sure I'd get an influx of followers. I'm not saying that it's not. And again, I'm not saying that if maybe in the back of your head you'd be like, I would love to be sponsored by Gymshark. Of course there's nothing wrong with that. Just like in the back of my head, man, if Nike hit me up, I wouldn't be mad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, of course,
but again, like there is no in the work that I'm putting into building my physique or building my brand or building my, all the things that I'm building, there is no, it's not because I would like to be sponsored, right? Like sponsors see value, and like that's what I said in the video, right? So a sponsorship is a partnership. That's what it is, right? So if just because you have a really nice physique, like Gymshark doesn't care. I'm sure they, it's nice, but it's like if you have a really nice physique and you have 500 followers, I can almost guarantee you they're not going to sponsor you, right? Now, if you have a crazy physique and you wearing all Gymshark gear, maybe they'll post you on their page, which again is
Mm.
different than being sponsored. Like there's a difference
Yeah, yeah.
between being a sponsored athlete and then having a post on Gymshark's page. Like those are not the same thing. But like
Mm.
so like I was saying is sponsorships are a partnership. And so I just think that you shouldn't be going into it like really hoping to be sponsored, because I think as an athlete or a content creator or something, you're putting yourself in a position of just taking whatever you can get, which is now not strong for you as the person that's trying to get sponsored, right? Like if it's very clear from Gymshark or whatever company that you're trying really hard to just be sponsored and that's all you care about, I'm telling you the deal that you get from that sponsorship would probably not be as good if you were just doing your thing and they like reached out to you and then they were like, "Hey, we would love to have a conversation." Do you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, yeah. So in that situation, Gymshark would obviously have more bargaining power than you, but because you're practically going to them begging them for a sponsorship, right? They
Yeah.
would obviously have more bargaining power. Yeah, but I think where we may find middle ground here is what would happen if you were to work out, and then one of your main purposes of working out was to be just sponsored by a fitness brand in general, not necessarily Gymshark. What do you think about that?
If you got sponsored because you work out?
So let's say like one of the main reasons why you're working out is to get sponsored by a clothing brand, but not specifically Gymshark. So since now we have like more clothing brands which are available, the likelihood of you getting sponsored by one increases. Does that like change your argument at all? Or?
Not necessarily. It's just
Mm.
I think back about a lot of friends of mine and people that I followed back in the day that got. I'm sure we have all gotten the messages from those freaking terrible clothing companies of like, hey, like if you hashtag fitness on your page, hey, love your stuff, would love to sponsor you, right? Send us a
Oh yeah,
message,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if
Mate,
that is if
my comments are just full up with that. I
yeah,
know.
of course, right? And so if that is your goal, I'm telling you, you're going to get had by those companies much easier than if you were like, I'm doing this because I want to do it and I'm going to wait for a good opportunity to come my way. Or not even think that and then it just does, right? Then this big company that you've respected, you're wearing them anyways because you like it. Like you get to have a much better place of bargaining than if you were like tagging them and like really like all your posts were about trying to get sponsored by Gymshark
Mhm.
or whichever like enter whatever clothing company you want.
Yeah, I don't I think the main point where we disagree is I I, I will agree with you that that is a better way of going about it, but for some people who've dedicated a lot of their lives to fitness and and who may have a lot betting on like their fitness career, I think these people don't necessarily have the luxury of a sponsorship just like rolling around for them. I think these people need to actively seek out sponsorships. You get what I mean?
Uh, I do understand where you're coming from, and I know that you brought up like Matt does fitness, as someone that like messaged Gymshark, but like I can
Mm,
tell you, like I know Matt, like we're friends. He's come and
mm,
visited me from the UK, right? I know that he was not doing YouTube videos and like like he was a PE teacher before he was ever even posting videos on YouTube. So I know
yeah.
that his goal with posting videos was not to get sponsored, and I think like eventually he got to a point where he saw that it might be useful to be sponsored by Gymshark. But I think that it is different than starting out hoping that you get XYZ sponsorship. I just think
Mm.
that there's a difference there.
Yeah, I would agree that your idea is better, but for somebody who is in the position where they don't have any employment, they don't have a job, they may not have like a wide array of skills outside of just fitness. I, I think for these people, the situation is a bit more like is a bit more difficult, it's a bit more dire. You get what I mean? But because if they don't get this sponsorship, it could be like financially detrimental for them.
Well, but that's not Gymshark's fault.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, it's not. That's the same with like any employer. It's not any employer's fault if somebody who tries to work with them, if they reject that person and they're like I don't know, destitute or whatever it may be. It's not the employer's fault. It's never the employer's fault.
I
I'll give
mean,
you that.
I don't I don't know if that's a fair thing, dude. Like because like if you if you are genuinely chasing a Gymshark sponsorship and you are like to the point where you can't afford groceries, like you need to set your priorities a much different way. Like that is I'm sorry, that is I can't get behind that analogy at all. Like if you're destitute to a point where you're not going to be able to buy food or rent and you are still currently really stressed out about getting sponsored by Gymshark, like that means you yourself have some things you need to get situated in your life.
Yeah, yeah. The analogy wasn't directly to the Gymshark thing. It was just like anybody who owned a business who denied to hire someone, or
Well,
like you wouldn't be able to
that's
pay
but
your
that's
gym
different.
membership.
But that's different. Like it's being hired again. A sponsorship is not the same as working for a company. So again, it's like it seems like there are people, and I'm not saying you, but it seems like a lot of the people that were commenting the mean things. 'Cause I want to get back to the actual post, right? Because we went
Mhm.
off the rails. A lot of the people that were commenting these really nasty and mean things were it felt like they felt personally attacked because they had been trying to get sponsored by Gymshark. And for me, the thing that I don't understand is, do you really think that you commenting this stuff, saying this ain't it or this is disgusting or throw up emoji, is going to make Gymshark want to work with you? Like that is what I do not understand. Like feeling personally attacked by this post of this girl that, I mean, I found out later that she has gotten over a few eating disorders, and that is why, like, she used to be really really skinny, and yeah, she might
Mm.
have a little bit of more fat on her body, but she is in a much healthier place mentally. And then like I got heated because now I'm thinking, imagine being her reading those comments. Like that was
Mm.
what got me so heated. And so that's what I'm trying to understand is like, how do people, I mean, and I know what it is because they have been marketed to by Gymshark very hard, and they think Gymshark is this above everyone else brand, when in reality they are just a clothing brand that is trying to make money. Like that's
Mm.
it, right? Like, would you disagree with that?
No, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I think the people who are commenting that need to get some stuff straightened out in their lives. Honestly, the people who are commenting ick and that's disgusting. I think that's pretty reprehensible personally. And
How old are you?
I'm 18.
18. Ah, okay. Do you have a girlfriend?
Not currently. What
No.
why is that?
Well, because I was just like, I like for me when I saw that stuff, I was just like thinking if my girlfriend was in that position, and I think that that's what really like made it to where like I felt it personally, because like I know my girlfriend has, she has body issues and like she struggles with that, and she was telling me like reading those comments on that post really messed with her, right? And so that's what I said in my video was it wasn't just the girl in the post that I was like, man, that sucks. It was for way more other women and dudes that are going to be reading these posts, and they're going to say, wow, I kind of look like that girl. And they're going to be seeing all of these people saying, oh, that's disgusting. That's nasty. Again, I'm not saying you were like, yeah, good, say that, you guys, like, get them. I'm not saying that.
Hmm.
But I'm just saying, like, that is why I was so passionate about that stuff. Do you understand where I'm coming?
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense to me.
And so I guess, like, for me, going forward, I'm kind of curious as to, because I'm assuming you've been a fan of Gymshark, and like I would hope so at least, or else I really want to understand why you made the video. But like, do you like are with their new direction? Because it certainly has. They like if you look at their posts now, right, from a month ago, they have certainly changed. Like right,
Yeah,
like
100%.
so. What do you think about that? I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts on that, because I know you said your views have changed because they have posted. I mean, granted, it's only been one guy, right, so far, but at least it seems like they're putting their money where their mouth is in that aspect.
Yeah, I'm not obsessed with like a lot of the comments on my video were like, oh, you know, this guy's got like trapped into the marketing scheme. The funny thing is, I've never even bought from Gymshark before in my life. So if it's a marketing scheme, they didn't do they didn't do a very good job at it. But yeah, if Gymshark wants to do that, that seems fine to me. There's other pages. I got Vanquish if I want to just see crazy impressive physiques. So yeah, if they want to do that, go on.
So
I see. That's
so
fine.
you you haven't even ever spent any money on Gymshark.
Not a dime, not a cent, not a penny.
Okay, so I'm just really trying to understand like what motivated you to make that video then.
I saw your video and I was like, oh, and then I hit record and then I uploaded it. There wasn't really too much more to that, if I'm to be
Okay,
honest.
so there was no man. I was really hoping that there was more of a like a connection to it than just I wanted to make this video because I disagreed with it, which is fine. And I'm glad that you made the video. I thought it was really interesting to hear your points and be able to talk about it. And then we were
Mm.
able to do this. But I was kind of hoping that there would be more to it than just that.
Well,
How do
not
you
really.
are you like? Do you really love fitness? I know you said that you're trying to become a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious. Would you? So if you had a client that imagine your client was that girl that was posted on Gymshark, and then she was explaining to you like all these people saying these things, would you come back with at her with the same way that you responded to me? Would you be
Oh
like,
wait,
well, you don't really deserve to be there, you just started
wait.
6 months ago.
Sorry, say that again.
So if you want to be a personal trainer, right? So most likely you're going
Hmm.
to be training individuals that aren't super relative, like super fit people, right? Probably a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them are probably going to be overweight. So say
Mm,
if your client was that woman that was
mm.
posted on Gymshark and she came up to you and said, "Hey, look at what I'm dealing with. This is really really hard for me." Would you respond with, "Well, like Gymshark is a really prestigious page and like you should have expected it, like I'm sorry." And I'm saying like she has all the followers, she like you because you made the point like she has a bunch of followers, she should be fine. Like would you say you should have expected it? Like how would you respond to that girl, to your client?
Okay, so if I was to just be training this woman here, and she was to bring it up, it's probably gotten to her to a pretty large extent to just be bringing that up in conversation. If that was the case, I definitely wouldn't say that. I'd probably be a lot more like consoling. I'll be a lot more tender, a lot more nice about the situation if that was the case.
So what's the difference between that and then is it just because it's someone that's on the internet that you don't know?
No. That's not necessarily the reason. So the main reason was that how can I explain this? So pretty much the the points which you made in your video, I simply felt that some of those points were incorrect in some ways. I don't think that this person like has a bad physique in any way. I just don't think that she has like the most amazing physique, right?
Yeah, I mean,
But
and I would agree. I wouldn't say that she has an amazing physique. I think that would be lying. But that doesn't mean that it gives you, not you, but gives people the right to bash the person on the page, right? Even if, like, I think even if the comments were like not super toxic, but still
mm,
negative, that
mm.
I still think is unnecessary. Like
Yeah,
I
I
still
would agree.
think that isn't needed, right? I think
Mm,
that post there was nothing wrong with it, and like not just the posts that were like ick, this is disgusting with the throw up emoji, but even
mm.
the posts of like this ain't it, right? Even the
Yeah,
really
yeah.
simple ones, or like that super long one that you seem to agree a lot with, like even that isn't helping, and it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary for that post.